What is up, YouTube? It is your boy echo-YGO coming at you guys with a brand new video. I got my boy Tim OD right here. What's up, bro?
What's good, brother? It's Tim OD.
Tim OD
here in the building. We here to talk about some GOAT format. We got my favorite.
GOAT format. That's guys. I had to bring out Tim again. Like this guy. Please urge this guy to upload some videos. Speaking of, you guys gotta go ahead and subscribe to my boy Tim OD. Get him to 100 subs. Last time we got him, you know, up there, 80 something subs. Hey, get my boy to 100 subs. Maybe he can actually upload some videos. But without,
I was gonna say,
go ahead.
I was gonna say 100 subs without a video is crazy.
Hey, that's the Tim OD effect. But anyway, we have a tier list video for you guys. I brought one of the most knowledgeable people I know about this format. So, yeah, I mean,
that one, but
listen, you guys love Tim OD. I brought my boy Tim OD. I think he's really good at this format. He knows a lot about the meta game of the meta shift, all the cool stuff. But without further ado, actually, before the video starts, I want you guys to support me on TCG Player if you want to use my affiliate link. You know what I'm saying? Get a little discount.
I'm already using it.
Hey, that's my boy Tim OD. But
you already know I'm already using it.
If you guys want to get a percentage off your orders on TCG Player, check my affiliate link down below, and also check out my boy Tim OD. Let's get it started, bro. Tier list. Where are we starting, Tim?
Damn, that's sick. Actually, the affiliate link is cool as fuck.
All right, where we starting, bro?
We'll get the big boys out of the way first, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have your Chaos Turbo, your Warrior, your Go Control.
Oh, let me
Go
put him up
Control is
front.
under a bit of contention right now, but yeah, let's get that up there. So I mean, I don't know if you have any input on that, but I think that for me, Turbo is probably the best deck. I mean, that's not. I don't think that's in question.
I can't disagree with that, bro.
That goes S. That goes S tier. That's top
right
one.
There.
Just to give an overview, if you're a new player, Turbo just offers you what I would consider the superior game plan. Means like your win con is kind of, you know, the most sound, the most foolproof, if you will.
Yeah.
There is counterplay, but obviously, you know, being the cornerstone of the meta and forcing your opponent to counterplay your win con does mean that you are the meta, you're the best, right? It has the most deck building options, it's the most flexible, it's the most consistent, it's the most powerful. The only actual downside of the deck is that because it is so, I don't know, focused, if you would say, the chance of you getting beaten by rogue or by anti-meta or that kind of stuff is higher, but that's just the natural balancing scale, right? When more people play it, more people know how to play against it. So that's straightforward.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have issues with beating Turbo, but it's just because they're not understanding what the strengths and the weaknesses of the deck are. Because I mean, it's Go. There's no deck that has no weaknesses, right?
That's
so the
true.
best you can do is trying to cover them up a little bit with your side or maybe your build or your tech options, but you can't cover all your bases.
That is true. That is true. I mean, for me, my experience with Chaos Turbo when I played it, to be honest, the biggest hurdle I've had playing Chaos Turbo is literally just a mirror match. That's my experience.
I think it's very skillful too, because just like any matchup, the more cards you play for the mirror, the better you'll have at winning in general. But I think the reason why Turbo is special to me is because if you build to beat the mirror, but you play exceptionally well, you can beat other decks with that same build, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you're playing like a really heavy mirror match build, meaning like maybe you're maining a Mind Con, or you're playing extra copies of Judgment, or maybe you're playing Wing Blast instead of Regeki Break, or, you know, all these other tech cards, Dust Shoot, right? These cards are famously worse against like aggro decks, right? But I think that a really, really skilled Chaos Turbo player, even with these cards in their deck, can still win their aggro matchups in game one, like a reasonable amount of time. Like maybe not like most of the time, but like 40% of the time. Like if you're winning anywhere near half your games with an inoptimized build for that matchup, that's really good. You know what I mean? Like, would you play like Jars and Dust Shoots into a Warrior player and feel comfy?
Hell no.
Of course not. You get slaughtered. But the really good players can still win that, you know? It's not easy, but they can find their way in. So that's why I think that deck is tough, because it has like a almost limitless ceiling, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you're really good, you can still win even if your list isn't perfect. So I think that's important, right?
Yeah.
And when I say not perfect, by the way, I don't mean like, oh, there's a perfect build. I just mean like it's well suited for that room or that environment, you know? because the perfect deck is just whatever is best built for that day. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, Turbo to me is undoubtedly top one.
I agree.
I mean, I don't think there's much contention there. There's so many tech options, so many things you could do to it, which is probably a good bridge. I think variants of Chaos are probably up there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if we're talking, like, not ignoring the skill factor, but just, like, assuming the deck is played extremely well, like, we're not factoring in difficulty here, right? Obviously. I would say without factoring in difficulty, Chaos Control is probably the second best.
Oh, in S tier?
I think,
or A tier?
Yeah. I would say S tier.
Oh,
this is just my opinion, right? I mean, you can put it down. I could also see it being A tier instead. But for me, the reason why Chaos Control is up there is because you can side into Chaos Control from Turbo, and then it gives you your best anti-aggro option, right? But to me, the only downside of this deck is that it loses to Turbo on paper, not in practice, but on paper, and it's hard. I would argue it's like the hardest deck to play in the format.
okay.
Because when you have all these cards and all these play lines, you can make the wrong decision a lot of the time, right? But if you don't, you have basically an answer to everything in the format.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, unrivaled in my opinion, but you don't have the consistency of Turbo. And obviously, against Turbo, you're lacking the value and the speed. So that's like the only reason I can't place it higher than Turbo, because Turbo would beat it. And also because it's not as flexible as Turbo.
Oh,
right?
okay. So
because Turbo can side into Control, but it doesn't have to, right? If you're playing Chaos Control, you could try to side into Turbo, but it's not smooth. It's not perfect,
yeah,
right?
It's kind of wonky, yeah.
It's better to play Turbo with like a slightly compromised Control shell than to play Control with a slightly compromised Turbo shell, in my opinion.
Okay.
But I could see it being A for that reason, you know, like the difficulty. So like that would hurt the player aspect of it, and then the consistency, because sometimes you're playing as aggro and you draw only the Chaos cards, and then you lose.
Yeah, you get shafted.
Or you're playing against Turbo and you draw only the Control cards, and then you lose.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's tough. But ideally, having a mix of both will give you your best options.
Yeah, that's actually good. I would have put it in A, but I respect your opinion a lot.
No, I think there's really good arguments to put in A. Me putting an S is just biased because I think that having good pilots exist makes me see that deck in higher light. But it's also hard. I think the best option is probably to start Turbo and then side into it.
Yeah,
which is why it would probably be A instead of S.
I feel like if we don't factor in the pilots, this is definitely, like, I agree with this, but yeah. So
well, then it should be an A because we're human. We don't got robots playing the game.
that's true. But I feel like Chaos Turbo, spoiler alert, is probably gonna be the only thing in S tier. I'm gonna.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. I think so.
I can see that. That's fair.
Yeah. But well, you know what? I might change my mind going through the video, so
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. But right now, I think this is literally the only thing that's gonna be in S tier.
I actually think that my contention for the only other deck in S tier is Warrior.
Oh.
And my opinion of Warrior has been shifting around a lot recently.
Yeah.
But I think that if we're going to kind of put the same, like, benefit or factor on Chaos Turbo, being that it's very modular, it has a very good win con, and it's very consistent, I think those three things also apply to Warrior. I think that's like one of the biggest things for me, is that I have been playing some Warrior, both for practice and to understand
Warrior's
it.
best deck.
Warrior's best deck,
Warrior's
bro.
best deck,
I think that in a very well tuned room, like let's say in a general sense, there's so much Turbo everywhere, right? How are we not going to put Warrior at least near it in terms of platform? Because it's natural predator, right? Like Warrior players will prey on Turbo, not Chaos in general, just specifically Turbo, right? And I think that Warriors have all of those same benefits, right? Their win con is very sound, their deck is extremely consistent, and they're modular. You can change a lot of the slots in your deck to make them better into lots of different matchups. So I think that they deserve a spot in S tier, like as top 2, right?
Yeah.
Because they have all of the benefits of Turbo without the only difference being that it's not literally Turbo, right? It doesn't have access to Sork and, you know, easy access to BLS. It has BLS, but not easy access, right?
Yeah. See, the thing is I like about Warriors is that not only is it good against this matchup, but it's really solid throughout like a lot of matchups too. That's what makes it a great deck.
You'll see when we address the rest of the big 5 that it does have a favorable matchup into all of them except for arguably Control. But I think in the modern era, even Control does not have a solid footing against
Yeah.
Warrior because of all the changes that Warrior has been going through the past years. Like, I can say with confidence that I've been playing a lot of Warrior into Control, and you can see, like, the gaps.
Yeah.
Like, you can see, like, there are times where they'll win and they'll blow you out. Yeah, of course. But you can see the gaps in the armor, and you can find your way in. And that was not something that was present, at least not as much as before. Like now it's a lot more obvious, and you have a lot better, cleaner answers, right?
Yeah.
So me personally, I put it S.
S tier.
I think it's the only other deck that deserves to be up there
Yeah.
because it's the only deck that checks off those same 3 boxes, right?
Yeah.
It's the good win con, consistency, and is modular. Usually you'll see like these A and maybe even B tier decks are missing one of these things, and that's what hurts them, right?
Yeah.
For instance, Chaos Control has the problem of the consistency, right? It is modular, it has a great win con, but it's not always consistent.
Meaning that it doesn't play like upstarts and stuff like Chaos Turbo does, and like
Yeah, or even like depending on your build, it doesn't play as many like 3-ups, or it doesn't have a central win condition. Because the central win condition of Turbo is to draw as much as you can, get value, and then use that value on good response cards like discard traps to control the game until you hit your late game win con, right? So like value decks tend to have like a almost like combo-y aspect to them, where you're gaining this value until you hit a breaking point where you know that you can start placing threats or proposing like plays like proactively, and your opponent will not have enough answers to stop you, right? Especially with cards like Heavy Storm. Like, how many answers could they possibly have through a Heavy Storm?
Heavy Storm is a crazy card.
Yeah, and with the deck like Turbo, you're gonna see it sooner. You're gonna get to that hand where it's like, oh, I have just too many threats for you to answer very quickly. Right. So I think Turbo is top 1, and I think Warrior is top 2. You could interchange them based on what meta is like. But again, the A tier decks that I think are like you could easily win multiple tournaments with them are just lacking that one little thing, right? Something is not quite there that those other 2 decks have, right?
Okay. So speaking of Chaos, what would you place the regular Chaos?
Yeah, so we're talking like non-turbo, right?
Yeah.
So maybe not necessarily like Night Ass, right? Maybe they don't play Night Ass, maybe they don't play Jars or Card D or stuff like that. Back in the day, we call it Thunder Dragon Chaos, right? Chaos, you're like substituting your faster, speedy, greedier cards for more stable cards, like maybe like Book or other stuff.
Yeah.
I would say like Thunder Dragon non-turbo, like Chaos would probably be like there's like versions that play Mask.
Oh.
And then there's like, yeah, I know you like that one with like the jars and like the extra traps. That one's good too. I would put that an A as well.
A tier?
For the same reason. I think it's kind of funny because now it's like the opposite, where it has the win con and it's extremely modular, but it's lacking that consistency because not every card in your deck is tuned towards that goal of drawing those good blowout cards, right? And drawing that late game ender. So it's strong though. Like in a tuned room, especially when there's a lot of Warrior or Aggro, it's definitely better because you're not shoehorning yourself into, having to play faster or having to draw, because you've been in that situation, if anyone's played Turbo, where you draw cards that redraw more cards. Like Jar or stuff, or Dokoichi, and then you lose because they kill you, right? So non-turbo is nice because you have access to like utility options, right? Like maybe you got like 1 Saku in the main, or you have extra books for defense, or so you don't lose the control or something like that. There's the flexibility there, so I like that.
Chaos Return. What the hell? B?
Yeah, that's probably a B for me, brother. That's not great. I don't know what normally that's supposed to be, but my image of that is like the deck playing like 3 Dokoichi, 3 Spy, so that when it gets knocked, they get put in the banish zone, right? And then like maybe like a Warrior Lady, and then some returns. My problem with that deck is it loses to Warrior. They just kill you.
It gets clapped by Warrior, bro.
And then that deck is almost required to play multiple copies of Solemn, so then your burn matchup gets worse too. So it's like your matchup against Control and Turbo are slightly better, but your matchup against like everything else, including Rogue, is worse.
It gets whacked,
Yeah, I think there's too many holes in its game plan.
Yeah.
And it's just a greedier version. Like what's the difference between Turbo killing you and Return like Omega super killing you? You're still dead,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So how much do we have to beat the dead horse? You know, it's like we don't need to go that far over the line.
Yeah.
So I think that deck is cool and it's good. Obviously, in a room full of Turbo, if you don't want to play Warrior, you can play that. That's cool. But I think
It's I don't have much to say about this. I never really played
it's not modular either. Like I said, it's what is
It's
that?
rigid.
That win con. It's that win con, modular, and consistency, right?
Yeah.
I think it lacks the last two. It's not super consistent. Like, what if you draw a return early game? You're gonna have to hold it for that long. You're gonna lose.
Yeah.
And then the modularness is not there either because you're kind of forced to play some cards so that other cards will work with it. So I think that's kind of not great for me.
That's whatever. Especially my people that are watching who play Edison format. You know how you draw return from a different dimension at the start of the game. You're like, damn it, and then they like,
and then usually you end up having like discard it for Brio or like get rid of it.
Yeah.
It just does nothing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or your opponent like just doesn't let you banish shit and you lose. That works too.
I'm not a big fan
That's
of
tough.
this deck, but
I mean, a good thing you brought up Edison. I think a lot of people don't realize that in Edison, Miracle Fusion is just like a Sea-Sword. It's the same slot. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's a really strong option. It's really good, but like you have to have the conditions there. It has to line up and then it has to resolve. And if all of those things happen, you do get a strong card. That's why it's like really powerful, but we've all been in the position where we're holding like 2 Miracle and our opponent's just beating us down. And it's like,
yeah, you're like, where's the Stratos, bro? I need my Stratos.
Like you have to like you're afraid to summon the Stratos because it gets bottomless. So what do? Set it? You know, like it becomes cope.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's tough because you need the Miracle to resolve at least to start off your because Ab-Zero is the water hero.
Yeah.
So you can use that as the water or the hero.
Crazy card.
But you still got to get it in the grave, right?
Yeah.
So that's tough.
Control.
Yeah, I was gonna say now we're gonna talk about another one of the big 5. I think Go Control is kind of a thing of the past. Oh, it's definitely worse than Chaos. Yeah, where you got it there is probably good. I think that Go Control is interesting because it's like a surprise factor deck at this point, right? A lot of Go Control decks now are not like what we used to remember. Like there are consistent builds that are playing like 3 Scapegoat, 3 Meta, 3 Decree, 2 Creature Swap, like 1 or 2 Zavor, right? That's like the I want to obliterate Warrior and Rogue list.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But the problem with that is that against Chaos, you really gotta have something, right? Like you need something up your sleeve. Some people like to play like more Warriors or normal summons. Some people like to make it more chaosy with like set monsters. And that's interesting too. But I've noticed that a lot of the good Go Control lists have been moving away from that. They'll play like not 3 Scapegoat, 3 Meta. Then maybe they'll play like 3 Meta, 2 Scapegoat or something like that. And they'll play like Merchant. You know? Or like Demok and Jars, you know, like those kinds of lists tend to do better actually because of the surprise factor, right?
Yeah.
And Jar is good in that kind of deck too, so I can see why it's like that.
Cyber Jar. Or Jar of Greed.
No, Jar of Greed.
Jar of Greed. Oh.
There are people who play Morphing Jar, right?
Oh.
And that's so that you can put your Jinzo and your Demok into the graveyard.
I'll say you premature.
Easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like maybe Serpent, and it's Morphing Jar is decent in like the mirror. Right, but I think it kind of like Cardi is good against Control, but I just don't really like Control playing Morphing Jar because there's so many decks it's bad against.
Yeah.
Like Morphing Jar can be okay against Chaos if you're really, really, really good, but it's so hard to use. And then it's horrible against Warrior. It's horrible against Burn, you know, and like I mean we'll get to it too, but Earth Aggro. These decks are the other parts of the meta, and that card is horrible against all of them.
Yeah.
So it's tough because you have the super consistent build that's great at crushing Rogue and Warrior. And then you've got like the more rogue-y, like one of surprise factor build that's good maybe more in general. But the problem is that you're lacking the consistency.
Yeah.
Right? So you're either consistent and lacking the win con, or you're variant and have the win con but lack the consistency. And it's super powerful. Like, don't get me wrong. This is definitely like a top 4 or 5 decks still for sure, but I think it's kind of fallen off as these decks get more focused. I think I mentioned it earlier with Warriors. The problem is that Warriors actually have good answers now to Control, right? In the form of playing their own sets. Like sometimes you see Warriors play Moth or Spy, and then they'll also play like this great card called Dust Tornado,
Good card.
Dust Tornado is really what cemented me in Warrior as like the second best deck in the format, or the best deck in the format.
Really?
Where, yes, because Dust Tornado, people did not play much Dust Tornado in the past, but playing 2+ Dust Tornado in Warrior is kind of like
Spicy.
what has really given them new life, right? Having the ability to shoot Scapegoat on end phase, or chain Dust Tornado to a Decree. Like before, when you're playing, like imagine if Warrior wasn't playing Dust Tornado. They have to have exactly MST,
yeah.
right? So otherwise, they're going like attack, you go Mirror Force, or you go whatever, and then they go, I'll go Decree. And it's like, oh, I lost, right? Like Saku, Mirror Force, Dust Shoot, whatever. All these great trests. Solemn is an easy one, right? You flip your Decree on end phase and they lose. It's over, right?
Oh, dude, that happened to me once in the PS5 tournament against a Chaos Control player. He decreed me in the end phase, and I had 2 Solemns, and I had a dead Dust Tornado because I just said it that turn, and I was so pissed off. But that's just more of an unfortunate event than just actually.
Yeah. No, but that's a good point to come up. Is Dust Tornado isn't perfect, right? But in game ones, sometimes the control player is not opening Decree on turn 1, or maybe you, the Warrior player, is going first.
Yeah.
So then, if you're going first and you have that Dust Tornado set, you win.
You're chilling, yeah.
Right?
Big
or
time.
the opposite, right? So like a big discipline thing for me is like if I'm playing Warrior and I'm playing what I assume is playing Decree, like Zombie or Control or something, I'll set the Dust Tornado, but I won't end phase because I'm going to make them use the Decree and then Dust Tornado the Decree at that moment.
Oh.
So unless they're crazy and set double Decree, it's gonna go through, right? So that's one of the big ones. Another one is that because you're playing Dust Tornado, you have better matchups against Burn, and against Chaos, it's not horrible. End phasing is pretty good.
Yeah, end phase like a Wing Blast or a Geki Break or something. It's pretty cool.
I mean, that's like the more consistent options. But what if you hit like Mirror, Torrent, you know, like the Floodgates?
That's
right.
Cream of the crop type shit, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's pretty important. Like people see Warrior, I think they think like 0 or like 1 Dust Tornado from the past. But in the present era, I couldn't imagine playing Warrior without 2 Spell Trap hate traps in the main. Right? Some people like Zing, right? If you're in that boat, I've seen people run 2 Dust Tornado, 1 Zing. I've seen people run just 2 Dust Tornado. I've seen people run like crazy
triple Dust Tornado. 2 Zing Zangu.
Oh my god, what format is that? God damn. Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at here. Is actually I think that Dust Tornado being at higher copies alone just kind of
it evens the playing field.
All the bullshit. Yeah, exactly, and that's what Warrior wants. It wants that like, oh, we're both out of cards, or we're both low on resources because their 1-for-1 potential is better and their singular card is better.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Go Control for me is falling back because even its good matchups aren't free. It was funny because yesterday shout out to Calvin YGO.
Calvin YGO.
What's up to him too?
That's my boy.
He was saying that in his list he's playing like 2-3 recruiters in the form of Tomato, 3 Scapegoat, 3 Meta, 3 Decree, and he's still losing to Warrior.
Damn.
That's what happens.
Bro got Dust Tornado too much.
Yeah, Dust Tornado is so good, you know? And obviously, like, yeah, if the control player goes first and they end phase their Decree, it's have Breaker, have Mobius, have MST, or lose, right? But that's fine. I mean, that's normal, right? It's just like saying like, oh, I'm playing against Warrior as Chaos. Well, better have good back row and Spy as soon as possible, right? It's like you have it or you lose. So I think that's fair, and it's still crazy to me that Warrior just can fight that matchup so well now, right? So that's why it's up there for me.
Yeah, Go Control. I mean, I respect it being here.
Yeah. All right, you ready to tackle the big boys that I think people are here for?
Yeah, Chaos Recruiter.
Put that shit in D tier immediately. We don't gotta talk about that one. I'll give you 2 sentences, right? Loses to Turbo, doesn't win against Warrior. Enough said.
Boom, enough said. Defusion.
Right. No. I want to hit the big boys.
Oh, you want to hit the big boys?
It's gonna be Earth Aggro and Panda Burn.
Okay.
That's what I think we need to talk about. I think that what people need to understand in this new era of Go is that the format is not what we've talked about so far. Everything we've talked about so far is what people think Go format is, right? But these two dubious motherfuckers.
Evolution of Go format.
You see the smile on that Morphic Jar and the look of disgust on that Goblin Attack Force, bro? Oh. That's what we need to be talking about. Yeah. I think that these 2 decks are better than Control.
Damn!
I think they are better than Control. And I think that both of those decks have better chances of topping or winning events right now than GOAT Control does. And we're not talking like Chaos Control or these mid variants. I'm talking about pure GOAT Control, right? And if we're talking about Panda Burn and Earth Aggro, I think if you make the right list for the room, these lists will do wonders. You can just rip people apart. And why I like these decks so much is because they have such great matchups into every other deck that we've mentioned previously.
Ooh.
These two decks have a fantastic matchup against what we would consider the old top 3. Now I consider them the top 5, right? Now what's interesting is I think that they're not always good all the time. I think they're good when the meta is in rotation, right? So for instance, I think these 5 decks are the best 5 decks in the format undoubtedly, right? But I think that the 2 that we just mentioned are only good sometimes. Right?
Oh, they're like wild cards type of.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I like about this new version of GOAT is instead of having this triangle format, it's actually a box format. There are 4 good decks in each rotation, and whenever the rotation changes, the 4th deck changes.
Ooh.
Right? And then the 5th deck is not good enough to play.
I see that.
Which is why it's interesting, right? So for instance, right now we don't got much burn, right?
Sadly.
Why is that? Well, it's because Warrior is really good, and Turbo is building to beat Aggro, and what that means is they're playing RB, and they're playing like less cards like Solemn, right? Less cards from the mirror. Well, playing RB and Solemn, or RB and no Solemn, sorry, makes your burn matchup immensely better.
Okay, to the people watching and don't know what the word RB means, can you?
Oh, sorry. Regeki Break.
Regeki
Yes.
Break.
When you play Chaos, your choice of discard trap is Regeki Break or Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Yeah. So your choice of which discard trap you're choosing is based on what you think the meta is going to look like. If you think the meta is going to be slower and have a lot less like aggro and rogue, you would play Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. But if you think there's a lot of rogue and faster decks aggro, you would play Raigeki Break, because removing the threat now is more important than having a better card for late game. Because Phoenix Wing Wind Blast is a great late game card because it stacks your opponent. But in early game, if your opponent presents a threat, you're not really getting rid of it. You're postponing it for a turn, which is not very good because you need to have an answer, you'll lose, right? So the Regeki Break tends to be better in this meta because warriors are being pretty powerful and there's a lot of good rogue, right? So having Regeki Break to out like the stall card, the burn card, the panda, that stuff is so much better than wing blasting it because you're just gonna have to worry about it the turn after, right?
Ooh.
And having 0, 1 or fewer solemns, I'm on that train right now too. I believe in 1 or fewer solemns right now, is so much better because you don't get yourself susceptible. People always think, oh, solemn's so good, it gives me an answer to this problem. But you don't realize that maybe 3 turns from now, you're creating problems for yourself because your life is low.
Yeah,
right?
You just get smacked and die. Yeah.
Like, there's always that fear consideration, like, yeah, maybe he only has 3 cards left, but he only has to do, like, 3,000 or 4,000 with those 3 cards. And do I have the means right now to stop that? Maybe not. So then you have to make a different play to try to potentially play around threats that could kill you when, if you were at 8 or 7k, you wouldn't care, right? So I'm on the belief that right now, like, dust shoots are better than solemns. Right, if you wanna tackle that like chaos or slow matchup, you play dust shoots and assault.
Okay.
But yeah, that's just for right now at time of recording.
Time of recording. What is it? June 2024.
Yeah, June 9th, 2024.
If you guys are watching this video in 2029, don't leave hate comments, please.
Hey, if Go is alive in 2029 and we're getting interaction on a 5-year video, I'll take it.
We'll be fine.
Say whatever you want. You'll be alright. All right, so we'll tackle Panda Burn first.
Panda Burn.
I love Panda Burn, actually. It's like my second most won with deck historically.
I was there.
Now it's probably not like that anymore because I haven't played it in a long time.
Yeah.
But for obvious reasons,
you became a chaos degen, bro.
Well, you gotta dip your toe into the meta. When we consider all options, that doesn't just mean rogue. Oh yeah, if you guys don't know, at our store we have a famous acronym. We call it WCAO. It stands for We Consider All Options. Yeah, basically meaning that how weird or heinous the card seems, if it has a place that we can use it or utilize it, build around it, support it, it could be played, right? I mean, I played freaking Gillosaurus at one point.
Oh god.
Ass. Yeah, I mean, you remember that.
I remember the days.
Yeah, Chiron the Mage, Cold Wave, oh, we're in.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was the first deck I ever won a tournament with, actually. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, So that is what I'm saying is if the card seems a little wacky, but it does something different than something we have, and that different is actually useful, then we can consider it. But I think what people miss on that statement a lot, and it's been happening a lot recently, is we consider all options does not mean you can just throw whatever you want into anything. It means that you have to really, really break it down, and I'll probably post stuff about that in the future, where you look at the usefulness of it, like how is it good, how is it bad, what is it better than, what is it worse than, right?
Yeah.
An easy example is like I'm not saying that we would play Widespread Ruin. I hate that card, but like, what's the difference between Widespread Ruin and Sakuretsu Hammer? They're very similar. A lot of times they do the same thing, but what makes one better than the other is why the reason you would play it or wouldn't play it.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait, Tim, hold up. Let me pause the video. Okay, you were saying something about Panda Burn, right? And we consider all options and stuff, right?
Yeah. So I was saying basically Wakao is good for considering new cards and rogue cards, but people always forget that sometimes Occam's Razor takes place and you have to consider the meta cards too, right?
Yeah.
Like when I'm building a rogue deck, everyone's like, oh, I can play this rogue card, play this spicy shit. But you also got to remember the good cards. Sometimes the best answer to make our rogue deck work is the broken cards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everyone always forgets their Gravekeeper Spies, their Moths, their, generic
The
good cards.
Koichis.
Just play good cards, Sometimes your win con is spicy, but the way you get to your win con's got to be boring, Like I was showing in the Ectoplasma video, right? I mean, yeah, Ectoplasma is cool and all, but what are we doing other than Ectoplasma? We got to play good cards.
True.
We got to play control cards. So I think that people always forget Wakao also includes considering good options as well as the rogue ones. But yeah, onto Panda Burn. So Panda Burn, I think that it has a really cool meta because when it first popped up, it was destroying turbo that was inoptimized.
Bro, shout out Delinquent, bro. I don't know where that guy's been.
Delinquent and Left 2 are fucking sick. I love them.
Hey, shout out Germany, bro. It's cool.
I'm
country.
a big fan.
Cool country.
The whole country. Yeah, shout out to the whole country.
I think they're German. I could be wrong, right?
They are. I just think it's funny. It's like shout out to the entire
Germany,
country of
bro.
Germany.
Shit. Yeah, but what did he do in 2021?
21. Yeah. He won Worlds with Panda Burn.
Crazy guy.
The first
bro.
ever. Yeah. I think that was super important for Go. If that didn't happen, Go might be dead by now. I think that the revitalization of Go started with that one win because it showed people that the format is not done yet, right? There's still more to do. I mean, like I said, in like every video I say there's lots more for us to do, right? So
right.
Panda Burn for me is great because it has that amazing Earth Aggro match. Earth Aggro, what the fuck?
Ooh.
The Go Control matchup. I'm looking at the tier list, right? It has a great Go Control matchup because Panda feasts on these scapegoats and all of the burn is based on your opponent having monsters. So if your opponent doesn't scapegoat, well, you win, and if they do scapegoat, then you win. So there you go. And the big cornerstone of the Panda Burn shift is that originally we didn't have any anti-burn tech, right? We didn't stumble on our Mystic Walks or any of these other cards yet. So the cool thing about looking at burn as a deck is that this is not like your degenerate chain burn in like most formats. This burn is
innovative,
dependent. Yeah, it's dependent on something you can control. So the opponent actually has input on how much burn they take. I think a lot of people overlook that. They go, man, I hate this burn deck. It's just hit me for direct damage and I can't do anything and I lose. But the big fallacy of that statement is I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Assuming that you can't do anything is the biggest problem because I actually have beaten burn with Chaos Turbo a lot of times because I have really refined how I approach the matchup.
Yeah.
And I think that people don't realize that Panda Burn has burn cards that do damage, but nothing else. So technically, if they burn you and you don't die, it doesn't matter what you do on your end, right? Yeah, you don't lose. So I've learned that when you're playing Chaos into Panda Burn, your goal is to actually neg yourself, make yourself lose as many cards as possible while still keeping just enough to play the game. Because as long as you have a solid enough answer to like the Panda and maybe like some flip monsters so they can't resolve their jars, Cyber Jar, Morphing Jar, just to clarify, they don't do anything. As long as you're not dead, the burn isn't killing you, right?
Yeah.
So you need to lower the number of cards you have. That way they can't hit you with those big Just Desserts and those big barrels, right? I think that the main flaw most people end up on is they go, oh, Panda's so scary, I gotta set this Gravekeeper Spy, and then the Spy, they hit it with the Panda, it goes face up and summons another Spy, and then they trio you, and now you have no board slots and you lose.
Brutal.
Right? That's the biggest flaw. When I play Panda Burn, I did that to players like that non-stop. It was so easy. You go summon Giant Rat, hit them, and they go, oh, I'm scared of Giant Rat, I'll set Spy. I'm holding like an answer to Spy, but I'm like, I don't care about that. I'll hit the Spy, right? So Panda Burn is definitely like a skill check. It's like a gatekeeper deck, right? But it's also really good into a focused room. So like if you know exactly what's going to be in that room, tailor your list, get some chain energies for Chaos maybe, get some more wheels or stall cards for Warrior, and then post side, do something freaky with it.
Freaky with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've sided out a lot of the burn and put in Mobiuses and Brain Cons and played Monarch. Yeah. Right? People have not tried that, right? Next time, try cutting a lot of your burn engine and putting in 2 Mobiuses, 2 Brain Cons, some Spies,
you're
maybe.
Chilling. You're chilling.
Yeah, you beat Warrior like that. You're playing 3 Rats, right? That's Recruiters. You know, why not play some Earth Monarch, I guess?
Oh.
You play Giant Trunade. Giant Trunade is good as Warrior. Anyways. Yeah, so I think that Panda Burn is really cool because if you know what you're playing into, it could be really strong. But like I said, the downside is that it does lose to Warrior because Warrior has that really good card called Dust Tornado. And in the modern era, people don't realize that Warrior can race the Panda Burn player. Oh. You can kill the Panda Burn player before they kill you.
Warriors,
you know what I mean?
Warriors, baby.
Yeah, so Warrior has a great matchup, phenomenal matchup. 2, 3 Dust Tornadoes, 2 main 2 side the third maybe. You know, phenomenal against Panda Burn, right?
Also dust shoots, dude. When you dust shoot or duo your burn player, they're in shambles, bro.
It's so good for the Warrior player to dust shoot, even if you're like hitting something like not great, like a rat or something. Yeah. You see their hand, you're like, oh, they have no stall, right? I'm gonna kill you. If you know they have no stall, you go in. The burn player has to just draw the stall, and guess what? Burn doesn't draw cards, so you know they're in a bad state. Or they draw and you look at their hand and it's all stall cards. Well, I'm gonna slow down. You're not gonna kill me with burn, so why do I gotta speed up, right? You take your time, draw some more cards. So the dust shoot is great. Yeah, getting info against Panda Burn is great. I mean, again, Chaos plays dust shoot, right? Like Chaos lists right now are playing the like the 2-2-2 ratio, 2 dust shoot, 2 jar, 2 discard trap, no judgment.
Ooh.
That shit obliterates burn, you know. So
obliterate burn, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, but right now burn is on the down low. But maybe when there's more Chaos Mirrors or Go Control gets better, boom, Panda Burn's back up there, right? Yeah. So like, what if the best decks right now the best decks are more defensive Turbo and Warrior and good Warrior decks, right? So Burn is in the back foot, but guess what rises up to the occasion? Earth Aggro, right? So Earth Aggro is having a free reign right now. I mean, shout out to Julian winning that PS5. Hey. I mean, Shifty got second at Worlds. Right?
Shifty.
I mean, we got so much Earth Aggro representation now because it's just a good deck and it's so good into the right metas, right? Like right now, it's amazing because defensive Turbo is not going to be able to stop Earth Aggro because Earth Aggro hits those breakpoints and has that burst damage that Chaos Turbo is not ready for. Yeah. And Warriors go decimated. Well, that shit is free.
Sad, bro. Sad.
I never thought I'd see a better natural predator to Warriors than Goat Control, but here we are, where Earth Aggro is just, oh man, it is not close, bro. It is, you are fighting non-stop as the Warrior player if you are playing in the Earth Aggro mirror. It feels like everything they do is a threat. Gigantes, bro, that card alone makes the matchup absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, it's because you crash into a buff late night, right? And they
lose their whole back row.
It's tough,
right? Have you ever seen the Earth Aggro player summon the Gigantes in defense?
No. Always attack mode, baby.
I mean, you could, yeah. I'm just saying, like, let's say you put in defense, right? What are they gonna do?
They're like, oh shit, I gotta kill it.
Warrior Lady if it's exiled?
No. Think about it. If it's has to be destroyed by battle, you just bring out a Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke, right? And then boom.
Yeah, you run it over. Yeah. Oh, so then probably an attack. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like the Warrior player needs to get through somehow, but they can't. They have to destroy it by a card effect, or it's gonna nuke your 4 or 5 back row. So if they summon Gigantes, we can do Judgment the Gigantes? Of course not. Yeah. So you summon Gigantes, and now your opponent has this dilemma of, do I waste effect removal on this Gigantes, right?
Maybe.
You have to, right? And then after you do that, they summon a Recruiter and you cry.
Yeah.
It's a deck playing bigger monsters, better spell trap removal, and Recruiters. That's like the worst combination for Warriors, you know?
Sad days, dude.
It's like
Sad days for Warriors.
I'm not even gonna touch on like most decks, but when Earth Aggro normal summons Goblin Attack Force, they don't have to attack.
Yeah, they just
And then
chill
what
with
does
it, yeah.
Warrior do to clear it? If they don't attack, Warrior can't clear that shit, you know?
You have to like force an exile force or something.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's horrible for the Warrior player. Terrible trade.
Yeah.
Because if you exiled or you DD Warrior Lady, your board is empty, and then they normal summon, they get the first
And
attack.
they clap you with 2300 in the face or something, yeah. Or like
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
You end up having to win the matchup with your spell traps, and that's really hard when they're playing 3 Dust Tornado in the main.
Oh.
Playing more Dust Tornado than you are. So, I think Earth Aggro is crazy right now, which is why Julian
At
won
the
that
recording of
PS5.
this video, guys, don't.
At the recording of this video, Julian won that PS5, and it was funny because he fought like what I would consider the harder matchups up until Top Cut, and then in his finals match, he played his best matchup, which was against Warrior.
Oh, dude.
That's so funny.
That guy Lawrence, shout out my boy Lawrence, but no
Yeah,
chance.
he fought
No chance,
valiantly,
bro.
but the game was kind of decided before you sat
Yeah.
down. But yeah, I mean, like Solemn Judgment and a lot of these other cards that Warrior plays are just crutches. Like, it's crazy because Earth Aggro is playing a higher monster count too, right? So you dust shoot the Earth Aggro, playing, I'm gonna take one. I'll play the other one.
Yeah.
I got like 3 options, bro.
Yeah.
And that's pain, right? So I think Earth Aggro, great deck right now. So right now, the best 3 decks in the format right now are in order: Warrior, then Turbo, then Earth Aggro.
Really?
Right? Yes.
So this should
For
be
right
here.
now. This no. Oh no. I'm just talking about if we're talking about in general, those 2 decks in front of them are better because they can be played in almost any format, right?
Oh, okay.
But so this is like an aggregate tier list for like most formats, right?
Yeah.
Earth Aggro and Panda Burn are just there because they can take the spot of that 3rd deck in S tier. Basically, this is
Oh.
how I think of it, right? S tier is going to change based on the rotation of the meta, right?
Yeah.
And whatever deck is in that 3rd spot at the top is just going to be whatever deck is good right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then the 4th deck is just whatever deck is good at beating most of those decks. So right now, the top 4 would be like Turbo Warrior, Earth Aggro, and then Control. Either Chaos or Pure Control, right?
Okay.
And then when the meta shifts again, maybe, and the meta slows down again, then maybe it'll be Panda Burn, right?
Oh yeah, cause you know, Go Control. will
Panda
probably
Burn's great against
jump
slow
in.
decks, yeah.
Yeah.
Decks that give Panda Burn time are big yo.
Ooh.
So there you go. That's my opinion. That's my definitive top 5.
That's the
I think
definitive
it's-
Tim OD opinion right here.
And I think like top 1 and 2, which are interchangeable, are Turbo and Warrior. And then the next 3 decks are all interchangeable based on the metagame, which are Panda Burn, Earth Aggro, Go Control, or Control of some kind, right? And I think all of them are in contention, right? And don't get me wrong, you can play Panda Burn in a meta that's not great for it and still top or win. Right?
Yeah.
It's all like
so
people
cool.
always minimize the skill factor of these kinds of things, right? I mean, the player skill matters more than your deck choice in almost every case, right? So I just think that when we look at like statistically or like in an aggregate sense, like a multiple format sense, this is what I would comfortably say I can agree on, right?
Okay.
I can also see the counter argument of Goat Control being higher than those 2 decks because it tends to squeeze into the meta more often. But I can also say pretty confidently that the other decks do better on average too. I think Goat Control has had a
At
really
least for
rough
now,
time
yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Goat Control's had a really rough time. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll find some.
You know,
cool new
I'm
tech,
actually
right?
happy with that because I'm a Warrior player. I don't give a shit about. I don't give a shit about.
Are you
Control.
sure you're happy you got these Earth Aggro motherfuckers running around, bro? That shit is evil.
Yeah, we gotta stop those boys. Yeah.
I'm actually cooking. This is a little tidbit for you players.
That's right.
2 bottomless in the side.
Oh. For Earth Aggro.
And when you're playing as Warrior against Earth Aggro.
Oh, we're using the Edison format tech here. Let's go. Let's go.
I've been testing out Bottomless as a 4th copy of Saku instead of Widespread. It's been great. And
Ooh.
I've been testing Bottomless as like a theory because they're playing Gigantes, right? So early game, that Bottomless resolving removes the option of Gigantes, and every monster they play that isn't Rat is Bottomlessable. And then if they're playing builds that are playing like Mobius or Grand Marg, you chain it to the monster. So now you have a chainable backer that stops them.
Damn.
So like playing extra copies of Saku and Widespread don't help against like Grand Marg and Mobius,
Yeah.
but playing extra copies of Bottomless, Grave Denial, beats one of their monsters. I mean, needless to say, there's versions that don't run Rat, right?
Ooh.
So the versions that are running the 3 DD Assailant and the 3 Goblin Attack Force and no Rats, right?
They run Gaia
Bottomless
power.
Trap Hole. Yeah, Bottomless Trap Hole, baby.
Bottomless trash hole, bro.
Bottomless trash.
Hey.
Hey, you spoiling my series,
Oh,
bro?
oh, oh. Hey, guys, get him to 100 subs. He might post.
200 subs.
200 subs.
Hey, I need one gorillion subs to post my first video,
okay.
guys. I'm joking.
Okay.
I'll post it whenever I feel like the product is ready.
Okay.
All right, let's get on to these more fun decks.
Rescue
right?
Cat. Fuck that. Here. It is not going up here.
Nah, yeah, it's not going up there. Problem with Rescue Cat is consistency and flexibility. There's none of it.
Yeah, you're playing.
There's no flexibility and there's no consistency.
You're playing
right?
3 bricks in your deck.
That's minimum. You're probably playing more.
5 bricks, because maybe the wombats are a little bit of a brick, right?
Would you consider Panda a brick? I low
in this deck, yeah. Not in Panda Brick, but yeah. In this
so
deck.
then I would say it's more like 7 or 8 bricks.
Yeah, this
You're not feeling good.
I don't like this deck that much. I don't like it as much as Panda Burn.
Again,
it's like
skill factor.
Yeah.
We have one of the best cat combo players, like period.
Oscar. What's up, Oscar?
Yeah, Oscar. He got top 5 at the GGP.
San Diego GGP, yeah.
San Diego, yeah. With cat combo. So I'm saying like it's up to the player, but again, if you're not like strong of spirit,
yeah, this is not the deck for you guys.
You have to be not tiltable, because when you open that hand of 3 bricks, three garnets or whatever,
you better deal with that shit.
Oh, you crying, bro. But if you got that resolute mind, you're like, oh, I can bait Nox with this set card. You know, I mean, that's good for you, but man, that's a hard deck to pilot for me.
Yeah.
So I think deck is cool, but yeah, it could be tough. Oscar likes to do the thing where you side out the burn, you side in Decree and Stein. That's cool.
Ooh.
But yeah, like even the best builds that Oscar have played, I think that Oscar plays the deck as A tier, but I think every other human being on the planet probably played in B tier.
Yeah,
it's a player.
I don't want to say it's hard to pilot. It's just like it nerfs you, like inherently by you just playing these cards.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You're kind of playing a different game than everyone else.
Yeah,
your fundamentals are not there, and there's less mind games because I mean, there's nothing to play with. There's no skill expression. Sorry, there's less skill expression.
Okay, I don't know about no skill expression.
I mean, what, the order I set my bricks in to dodge knock? Like, what do you mean? What is the skill expression?
Hell yeah.
You do the combo, you don't. You know what I mean? Now there are some things where you hold cards versus letting them go, but I think like it's too focused. There's such a thing as having too focused of a win con. Same thing with Empty Jar. I would put Empty Jar like C or D.
Oh, yeah.
Any OTK decks are usually pretty low, because of the fact that because of the fact that like, well, if that's the case, I'd put Chaos Recruiter in C tier.
There we go.
Because it has a game plan. It's just not as foolproof, and those 2 decks are tough because they lose to every side deck card.
Yeah.
Like you side anything against any of them, and they lose games 2 and 3, right? So I guess the difference is like you need to win the die roll so that you go like the idea is that if they go first, they don't always kill you, right? Like with their FTK, and if they don't kill you, then you play anything and they lose the game, right? And then if they do kill you, then you go to games 2 and 3 and you side, and you win game 2 because you're going first. And then in game 3, if they don't again open perfect, then they lose because then you play any turn you lose. Any deck that loses when your opponent gets a turn is a trash deck.
Okay.
Now, can you win like a small tournament with Empty Jar or Library FTK? Sure.
Yes, you
right?
can. Yes, you can.
You can. The less number of rounds you have to play, the easier it is to get lucky, right? And like these are solitaire decks. So I'm not factoring in execution because I assume you're practicing your execution by literally playing solitaire, playing the deck into nobody, and then until you get your game plan down, right? So yeah, those I don't like OTK. Sorry, I shouldn't say OTK because OTKs are fine because Reasoning Gate is there.
Ooh.
FTK decks are not good in GOAT format because you're sacrificing too much efficiency to have a bricky deck, and then you lose the siding. So like you winning 1 or 2 tournaments maybe, but having sustained, long-lasting success, being good at the format, it's not going to help you in anything, you know?
Yeah.
So those probably go down there. We'll get onto Reasoning Gate. Probably
RGT.
this one is interesting. I would put it top of B or bottom of A as well.
Oh, top of B?
I think
I'm
that
down
deck
with
is
that.
crazy.
Bottom A?
I think bottom A is better. I low-key sometimes think it's better than Go Control.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because if you want to talk about decks that have a good warrior matchup, that deck has a ridiculously good warrior matchup. It is almost impossible for warrior to beat that deck.
Oh, because they play Scapegoats, Giant Trunades, Decree,
and a
Jinzo.
superior win con. Yeah, Jinzo. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like even if the warrior player calls all the right numbers with True Nade up, it's like, bro, like
You about to
you're
get
just waiting to
clapped.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is that the warrior cards are great at 1-for-1ing, but they don't have that like, oh, I can kill 3 big monsters at the same time. They don't have access to that.
Yeah.
Right? So if your opponent, even something small like Jinzo, Fusilier, something, or not even like just those two, right? How are you outing that as warrior? Right?
It's
like
really
exactly
hard,
snatch
yeah.
steal, right? So it's not like you have a real option unless you have like some mirror force and they don't have Jinzo miraculously, or and they don't have True Nade, right? It's just not sustainable. There's too many things that force the judgment that it can't be used.
Yeah.
And then if you don't use judgment, then the rest of the deck loses because they don't do anything. All of these warrior monsters, except for like Warrior Lady and Exiled, do nothing to big monsters.
Yeah,
right?
not even the homie Blade Knight is
Yeah,
helpless.
the answer that warriors use the most is battle. They like to use battle as their removal option, right? But you can't battle these monsters because they're just bigger, right? And you can't use traps because of Jinzo. And what are you gonna do? Like judgment the True Nade and then cry when they play something else?
Yeah, you
What are you really
they
doing
reasoning you call 8 and they mill Jinzo and you're like, damn, I just lost.
Not even that. Like let's say you call 8 and it mills 8, right? And then they play True Nade and then they pre-mat.
Oh, dude, pre-mat is so insane in this deck. It's probably utilized the best.
Yeah,
this
pre-mat
and Rescue Cat OTK.
Yeah, pre-mat is crazy. Yeah, pre-mat gives an absurd amount of reach for both decks.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, like the benefit of like playing Judgment is nullified in this deck, and all of your monsters do nothing basically. So you're looking at like holding 1 or 2 real cards against a board of like an Onslaught, and then like you said, they play Scapegoat.
Yeah, Scapegoat is a strong card, guys.
Das kaput, bro. Das kaput. So, yeah, RGT is really strong. The problem with RGT, which is why I can't place it any higher than that, is that it has problems with beating Earth Aggro and Burn.
Oh god.
Not Burn so much, but Earth Aggro for sure. And it loses to the good decks, right? Chaos and control and like Chaos variants, right? Good Chaos players. That's why I kind of waned off that deck a little bit, because the best part of that deck is the high powers level, high ceiling. The problem I have with that deck is it gives too much control of the game to your opponent.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, even if you do all of your math and your statistics correctly, there's a factor of the game, the way the game plays out, that is being handed to your opponent. And I'm not just talking about calling the numbers. So, I think that my problem with that deck is that the best pilot in the world playing that deck will still have to rely on their opponent making a mistake or playing poorly to win. And that to me is not the sign of a good deck. A good deck should not rely on your opponent being bad in order to win, you know what I mean? Or not even being bad, but being subpar, right?
Yeah.
So I think the deck is amazing. It has great matchups. I mean, if you're in a room full of warrior, I would play the shit out of that. Just ruin them all.
Reasoning Gate, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very cool concept for a deck too. It's
like I said, it's an OTK deck, but it's fine. It's not an FTK deck. It's an OTK deck, and there's.
This is why it's not here, guys. It's here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why I don't even think it's in B tier. I think that it's good. I think you can play it really well, and there's a lot of skillful mathematical aspects to it. Like if you're a math guy, it's a great deck, you know. And if you're not a math guy, then you're just rolling the dice, and in that case, it goes down to like B or C tier. But if you're a really good pilot, that deck is terrifying.
Ooh.
All right, what's next?
Zombies. See?
Yeah.
I see.
No way. Okay, which version of zombies are we talking about?
Like,
are we talking about zombies?
like Book of Life shit.
Oh yeah, okay, that's pretty low. I put like
what? Okay, so
I put B tier.
What version of zombies do you think is the best version of this deck?
So this is what I'm kind of getting at with zombies, right? When I'm looking at zombies, we don't have the old turbo zombie build. That deck doesn't exist anymore. That deck is trash, right? Like the one you're thinking of with like Tribute to the Doomed and Book of Life and Decrees and like Kaikus and Gorillas.
Yeah.
That deck is trash.
That deck is trash.
It doesn't exist anymore. It does nothing, right? It beats warriors sometimes, right? But it's overall it's just a bad beatdown deck. And if your opponent doesn't hit your monsters, it doesn't have a real win con. So like Control and Turbo will just smoke it.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's a hot take that Turbo will smoke it. But I think Chaos Turbo, if you're a good player, should be able to beat zombies. I think that's for real. I also think that the lists right now that aren't playing Judgment are even better. So, you know, there you go. The problem I have with zombies is that it's very top heavy. So you draw the cockies, you cry, right? You draw like a handful of recruiters, you cry, right? I mean, if your whole deck loses to a spy, you know, you cry. So it's like the problem where the actual upside of the zombies is only when you're playing against a room full of warriors, and even then it's not great. So I say that version of zombies is trash tier. But the reason I don't like zombies being that low is because zombies in the modern era, because if we're talking about like Panda Burn and New Warrior, we should evaluate zombies as they are in the modern era right now.
AKA
right?
2024.
Exactly.
Not 2029.
And the reason why there's some new life in this zombie stuff is that people are starting to realize you don't need to play that many zombies to have a good package of zombies. For instance, we got Derek playing Zombie Control, which is a cool mid-range take on the deck, playing Gigantes and Grand Margs, right? Kind of like a Monarchy deck. But it has the benefit of playing a small zombie package. So it's playing some Pyramid Turtles, I think 2, and then 1 Ryukaki. That's all you need, right? And this zombie aspect gives you access to anti-aggro tools that you wouldn't get in like a normal control deck, right? And it also gives you a mid-range tool because now you have a way to kill your opponent, right? That's important. Being able to pivot in your mid-range decks, like your goat control and your zombie control and that kind of stuff. And then there's also that funny deck with Fear from the Dark and stuff like that.
Yeah, who's that guy's name? Mr. Noodle something? I think he won like a big tournament.
Yeah, he won.
He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
That's a cool list too. And then there's also like the Last Will OTK deck as well with zombies.
Oh!
Right? You haven't seen that?
Oh, you gotta show me that sometime.
It's so cool. It's like it's playing like Mataza and some equip spells, and it's playing Last Will and Pyramid Turtle and Tribute Summons, and then Stein.
Oh, Cyber Stein is.
Yeah, and sometimes it's really easy. You could do something like your opponent has like a attack position to Koichi, and you summon Turtle and you go activate Last Will, and then you go attack with Turtle into the Dekoichi, and then summon Ryukaki, and then you summon Last Will triggers and you summon Lily.
Oh!
Right? Or Last Will triggers, you summon another Pyramid Turtle and crash that one too, and then summon the second Ryukaki. That's a lot of damage.
Ooh, that is big damage for sure, yeah.
An easy one too is with Creature Swap. So you summon a Recruiter, like Rat, or easy one is Rat, and then you summon, like you have a Rat set that's already on the field, and then you summon Turtle, and then you you give them the Rat, and then you use your Turtle, you crash into the Rat, you summon Ryukaki, and then Last Will triggers, and you summon Lily, and then Ryukaki runs over the Rat, and then you use Rat to summon whatever, right?
Oh yeah, that's insane.
And then you kill him. Yeah. So there's a lot of lines in that deck with Last Will and zombies that gives you OTKs, and then obviously the elephant in the room, you can just go normal summon Exile, or you go Last Will, and then you go normal summon Exile, Prio Tribute to shoot their monster, and then Last Will summon Stein.
Damn.
Boom. Right? Bam.
That's cracked.
Big damage.
That's big damage for sure, yeah.
So I think, and the cool line is you do that and you summon Mataza, and then you put your equip shield on it.
Jesus Christ, where's my computer doing? Yeah, so zombies, do you agree that it's
modernish era of zombies deserves to be like mid-tier, like roguish, like mid-tier, because they have a lot of cool lists that have uses of them as an engine. So like pure zombies is like gone. That deck is too inefficient, too bricky, not modular. But the new zombies, where you have like a compact engine of zombies to facilitate some other win con, ooh, super cool. Ooh. Very spicy, lots of options, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in Edison, you use Book of Life for like Reaper on the Nightmare and Goblin Zombie, all those good stuffs. But in Go format, just like a small shell of zombies, like for like an anti-aggro package or a recruiter package or like a OTK package is cool. I think they have a lot of applications. So I think that's underexplored. People can mess with them some more. I just think the old traditional form of zombies, I don't even want to talk about regenerating zombies.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah.
That's ass cheeks, bro. If you like that card, that's coke. That card is trash.
Yeah, that card is pretty trash.
The only benefit it has going for it is that it's dark. That's the only upside of that card is dark.
It looks cool. I mean, it looks cool. That's something else it has going for it, I guess.
Yeah, it's like rematerializing, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, and then we got the last two.
Economics.
So we didn't have it here, but we added it ourselves. That's that little Toon Cannon Soldiers spell Economics FTK. Are you ready for something really painful?
Yeah.
That is gonna suck.
Yeah.
I put that shit next to Reasoning Gate.
Oh, like here or here?
Yeah. Either one, your choice, man. It's your list.
Oh, I hate Go Control, so I'm putting it here.
There you go. I think that deck, unfortunately, is really good. I think Spell Economics FTK is that deck where if nobody's played it in a while and there's a tournament worth a lot of money,
Oh, you
you could bring Economics FTK, smoke their ass. But unlike Library and Empty Jar FTK, it's an FTK that actually can side deck. Whoa! Oh my god, it has a real
Do
side
the
deck.
YouTuber
Oh,
face.
yeah, that's the thumbnail, right?
Yeah.
So the Spell Economics FTK can side into regular Reasoning Gate, which we've already established is a good deck, right? And the problem is when you want to beat Spell Economics, you have to side in cards that are doo-doo water against regular Reasoning Gate, like Spell Trap Removal.
Yeah.
Because if you guys don't know, Spell Economics is a continuous spell. So
you got Dust Tornado that shit.
Spell,
yeah.
it breaks the infinite loop. So they cannot do the FTK anymore. So if you are going second as Spell Economics, you have to rely really heavy on these True Nades and the Spell Trap Removal so that your Economics can land, right? But if any of the pieces are out of the puzzle, you lose the game. So they side out the pieces of the puzzle and they put in
like regular Reasoning Gate, yeah.
Win con. Yeah. They put in like their Cranes, their Jinzo, their Demock, whatever, and then they play regular Reasoning Gate because guess what? Defusion, all those spells, and Demock are already in the deck. So you just make like a 7-8 card conversion and now you're playing Reasoning Gate and then you have the rest of your slots to fight whatever matchup you think you will have trouble with. So unfortunately, as I'm speaking, because it is out of honesty, not out of love, because I hate this deck.
Yeah.
It is a good deck, and in the right hands, with the right side deck knowledge and the right meta applications, Reasoning Gate and Spell Economics are both good decks. So maybe A is too high. Arguably, you could put Reasoning Gate, Spell Economics, and Go Control at like top of B.
Yeah.
By the way, if you guys don't know, I would put anything B or higher as able to win a tournament. So.
Okay. Speaking of, the last thing, what is this? Dimension Fusion? What even is this? Why is this called a Dimension Fusion? It's
the older versions of the deck play Defusion with Bazoo. Basically, you use like Thunder Dragon, and then you banish
Bazoo that shit. Yeah.
And then you activate the Dimension Fusion, and then you got lots of beaters.
That sounds kind of ass, actually.
The more popular versions are playing like Burn, or they're playing Warriors, and then instead of Dimension Fusion, they're playing Return from a Different Dimension. So I know it as Bazoo Return, but I know some people call it like Defusion Turbo, right? That's kind of cool, but it's different because Defusion Turbo is you play 3 Bazoo, 3 Thunder Dragon, 3 Defusion, and you play Mind Con instead of Knock, and basically you just make their board empty, and then you go 25 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16.
Oh.
Right.
I still think this deck is whatever.
It's the same issue where its win con is cool. It's like Chaos Return, but worse, because instead of playing Chaos cards, it's playing gimmicky cards.
Yeah.
So my problem with that deck is that the win con is similar, but it's the way you get to that win con, like the average play is very weak.
Yeah.
Right? The Chaos Return average play is very strong. It's a Chaos play. Right? The problem with Chaos Return is that your end game ends up getting worse, right? Because you have to wait on this return card, or you have to survive long enough with a lot of these compromised slots. And Dimension Fusion is the same, right? Your mid game is going to suffer because the Bazoo without the Thunder Dragons is weak. Like what happens? You open without Thunder Dragon. Chaos without Thunder Dragon is fine. We play the game, right? Dimension Fusion without Chaos Thunder Dragon can get kind of rough. And depending on the version, like that's why Bazoo Warrior is more common, because your average play is a Warrior play. That's a good play, right? Or Bazoo Burn, your average play is a Burn play. That's also a good play, right? So
Bazoo Burn is pretty cool.
I think the Boomer version of the deck, like that version and that's pictured there, is probably pretty weak.
Yeah.
But I think that the Return version, Bazoo Return, Bazoo Burn, Bazoo Warrior, I think that could probably
be a solid B.
Yeah, solid B. Lower B. I put it below Zombies for sure.
Okay.
I think Zombies should probably be above Rescue Cat, and I think that Bazoo Return deck should be slightly above. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I would put it.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the modern version of those decks. Could I see that winning a tournament? Yeah. In the modern era, would it? Too many decks playing Dust Shoots. Dust Shoots obliterate that deck.
Oh, you just take their monster and they...
You take whatever combo piece that's the most important. So like if they have one Thunder Dragon in hand, you put that back. If they have Bazoo in their hand, you put that back. And if you see that they have Defusion, you put back whatever banishes.
Oh.
If you see that they have RDD, you just kill them before they can play it. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where Dust Shoot will just give you what it'll just tell you how you're supposed to win that game. It's not like Panda Burn where you Dust Shoot the Panda Burn and you're like, oh, now I know exactly how to win. It's not that simple because Panda Burn has good monsters, spells, and traps, whereas Bazoo, whatever, basically only has good monsters, and then the traps are its win cons. So it's like,
It's whatever, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of put it up or down.
Okay, this is the complete tier list by.
You said 20 minutes is an hour long. I talked too much.
You know
about
what?
that, G.
I think this was great analysis from my boy Tim OD. This is why I brought him here. Like, if it was a video I made myself, I would just like put shit in here for like 5 minutes and be like, okay, thank you guys for watching. But there's actually
Alright, job done.
Yeah.
There you guys' content for the week, boys.
There is actually really good reasoning behind why my boy Tim put these here, and you know, there is a little bit of input from myself, but I think for the most part it's a very solid list. If you disagree with this list, it's
I was gonna say
it's our opinion, you know.
What's your input, bro? How do you feel? Well, I'm
for
thinking,
me,
like, is there anything here you would change? What would you move around?
Oh, I would go like this. That's it.
Oh, that's it?
Boom, yeah.
I can agree with that too.
Yeah.
You could leave it like that. I mean, that's fine. No, you could do that. I think that's perfectly fine. Yeah. I think that's understandable.
Oh, and I hate zombies, so I'll put it probably like right here.
The warrior play hating zombies. What a surprise!
No, guys, check this out. We put zombies here, and then we put gun control here. And then this is my list.
Oh, so you're lying to your viewers now.
No. Okay, this has been the tier list with me, myself, echo-YGO, and Tim OD. Thank you guys so much for watching. At the end of the day, this is just our opinion on the format, but
everything is subject to change.
Yeah.
Either with your own opinion or with time, because that's how beautiful this format is, right?
That is true. That is true. There has been some evolution, as you guys can see. It's no longer just goat control, chaos, and warrior. There's some new shit popping off here.
If you wanted to be like super new pilled, like you really want to sell it, you could put Earth Aggro and or Panda Burn above all variants of Chaos that aren't turbo.
Oh, hell no. No, I'm not doing that shit.
For the thumbnail?
No, we'll clickbait in the thumbnail. Don't worry about that.
I think I could totally see arguments for Panda Burn and Earth Aggro being higher than non-turbo variants of Chaos. 1,000,000% I could see that. I don't believe it, but I think that if you were to tell me that, I would be like, yeah, I could see that. I can understand, right? Because it's, again, tier lists are opinionated. So if your opinion is that those two decks are better than non-turbo Chaos, oh yeah, totally. I completely agree. I could see that being valid. This is my tier list, right? So I think that's how I would section it, because I think that Chaos is too solid of a deck to put anything that is even slightly inconsistent over it. But I think that those decks are so strong right now. I mean, like, it's probably also because they're new, so less people have matchup knowledge, right? But man, these decks are making waves right now.
They're making waves.
Doing a lot of work.
Okay,
I'm happy with that.
thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy echo-YGO and Tim OD.
Tim OD.
Signing out, bitches.
Bitches.